Welcome, Rotarians, to the August 1st meeting of the Rotary Club of Louisville. I'm Lori Flannery, president of the club, and Paul Harris, fellow. Thank you for silencing your phones as we get started today. Providing our invocation today is Dee Tran, CEO of Louisville Institute of Technology, and Paul Harris, fellow.
Thank you. I just make a joke that we got a pastor at my table right here, so my prayer got to be good. So join me. Thank you, God. I am and we are blessed as individuals, as Rotary Club, a collective, as humans together in this city, state, and country, USA. We are blessed with the ability to uplift ourselves, our families, and others. So we are blessed to do what we do, and so we do. We are blessed to add value to life, and so we do. We are blessed to see beyond the eyes, to see what we are human as one. And yet, we are unique. And for our uniqueness, we celebrate. We embrace our differences, for they make us special. And for this, we give thanks. We thank you, God, for our meeting and lunch today. So beautiful with all the smiles. I am, and we are grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Dee. Now to lead us in the pledge and the four-way test is Gary Dryden, Vice President of Administration and Chief Financial Officer for Jefferson Community and Technical College, and he's also a new board member.
Good afternoon, Rotarians. It's going to be hard to follow that, Dee. I'll try. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now the four-way test.
Is the truth, is fair to all concerned, will build goodwill and better friendships, will be beneficial to all concerned.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Okay, now we're going to introduce the guests that we have with us today. So Rotarians, if you will make your way to this microphone here to my right, and please line up behind each other if we have several. I will want you to introduce yourself first, then your guest, and when you introduce your guest, if you could provide their name and their title and any organizational affiliation they have, that would be great. And guests, when you hear that you are being introduced, if you will please stand so that we can all stare at you for just a few seconds, that would be great. Thank you.
Good morning. How are you guys?
Hello, good. I'm Dee Tran, CEO of Louisville Institute of Technology. I have my friend Rick Dye here, former banker, president of bank. He is building affordable housing in Louisville today. So you should be the president of Rotary Club in Panama City, Florida.
I'm Dave Christoper Sr., President and founder of AMPED, and I have with me as my guest my Director of Development, Erica Samuels, formerly with Norton Healthcare, and now we have...
Somebody's welcome.
Hi, I'm Mackenzie White. I'm a commercial banker with PNC, and today I have Olivia Wilvoit. She's one of our associate relationship managers in the commercial bank.
Welcome.
Hello, my name is Bridget Johnson. Today I have with me Ms. Christine Lippins-Barlett, Christie is the founder and COO of Options to Success, which is a behavioral health services across the Kentucky area that it does coordination for residential care and community-based treatment services. So welcome.
Welcome.
Well, I'm George Forey, and I was invited by Andrew Holder, who's not here. I am a Rotarian from Rotary, and I am a member of the Emlist, Kentucky chapter, and I'm the president.
Well, thank you very much for introducing yourself and for being here today.
Good afternoon, Delene Taylor, Executive Director of the club. I have a couple guests here today. Tianda Robinson is back for a second visit. She is a owner of T. Marie Consulting and my mind's going blank. Which your other business? You have she does a whole lot of stuff. So I'm sorry, I don't remember.
She's an entrepreneur.
And welcome.
Yes.
And Dr. Kylan Gray, Chief Operating Officer of Creative Spirits Behavioral Health. Welcome.
Welcome. Okay.
Are there any other guests that have not been welcomed? All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thanks to Rotarians and guests for being here. Guests, we do ask you, there is a What is Rotary table with cookies on it and a sign that says What is Rotary right here to my right in the corner. And we ask that you please stop by there for just a few minutes to learn just a little bit about Rotary before you leave the facility today. Rick Harnett, if you wouldn't mind to raise your hand or stand up. Thank you, Rick. He will be the person at the table leading the What is Rotary session. So thank you, Rick. Several Rotarians were recently in the spotlight, so we want to congratulate Mackenzie White on graduating from the Alice Houston Women's Leadership Program with Leadership Louisville. This is their second year. Congratulations. We also want to congratulate Courtney Evans on being selected to the 2024 Louisville Business First 40 Under 40. And we wanted to note that you're going to want to check out Rotarian Cynthia Napek's latest article in Forbes magazine. It's entitled Bridging Divides, the Role of Community Programs in Connecting Leaders. So congratulations again to all three of these. So I noted last week that we've been partnering for a few years now with Imagination Library, and if you'll recall, this is the National Dolly Parton initiative to send one book to the home of each child in a certain area each month before they turn 5 years old. So everything pre-K. It's been wildly successful. We've been doing it for a couple of years, and we have been successful so far in pairing up 20,000 children in our area to do this. I know, that's fantastic. Let's thank everybody who's been involved in that for sure. But we're still calling for volunteers because more children need to be signed up. So we have 2 events that are on the books right now, and you don't have to feel nervous that you would do it by yourself. You would actually be paired with an Imagination Library board member if you end up doing this volunteer opportunity, so that you can both talk about Rotary and why we care about this as parents are being signed up, and the Imagination Library member can talk more about their organization. So the 2 that we have on the books right now, one of them is Sunday, August 4th from 11 to 2 p.m. at St. Stephen's Church. And then we have another one on Saturday, September 14th, also from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. That one will be held at the Kentucky Science Center. So if you're interested in doing this important and great work, if you'll please contact either Ken Silvaggi or Rick Harnett. Our next service project, sorting and packing supplies for SOS, will be Tuesday, August 13th from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. One of the fun things about this is it is being suggested as an orientation service project for a lot of our new members to give them their first taste of doing a volunteer project with Rotary. And so it would give you an opportunity in a more informal environment to be able to get to know some of our new Rotarians. And then our next Rotary Business Synergy event will be Tuesday, August 20th at the Kentucky Humane Society on Linden Lane. This informal and free networking event will include bites, beverages, and of course, furry friends. So it is suggested that if you can, bring a friend or 2. I announced last week, because this happened during our Rotary luncheon meeting last Thursday, that we had a new family that we are sponsoring through Kentucky Refugee Ministries. It's a family of 8. They are Syrian, and they have been, I guess, in holding pattern in Lebanon until they were able to arrive in Louisville last Thursday. There have been a lot of bumps in the road for this particular family. Mary Ellen was updating me on that. Mary Ellen Harned is our point contact person on that. But everything has worked out so far. And it really is a credit to the people who are welcoming these new neighbors, right, to the Louisville area, that we're able to pull together and use our networking to help with both housing and all the different things that you need when you're setting up a new home, much less in a completely new country. So I want to thank those individuals, and I just want to remind you that that's not a one-time thing that happened last Thursday. It's going to be a little bit of an effort to make sure this family is completely settled. So if you are able to donate any gift cards or, what is it, Venmo, cash, we'll take anything. Mary Ellen Harnett would be the person that you would reach out to. So thank you again. I do want to give you another thank you. It's something I feel like we can be so proud of. So you all know, if you see me do this, one of my favorite things to do is to induct new members. I'm trying not to hog all the new members. Somebody else was going to do the induction today who has a vested interest in this new member, but he got hung up and he was not able to be here, so I get to do it. So anyway, you'll have to put up with me. I would like to call to the front of the room Jacob McGill. If you could please come up here with me. Stand right here, please. Thank you. So fellow Rotarians, it is the duty of our Rotary Club to add new members from time to time so that we may not only increase our usefulness and influence as a club, but also to extend the spirit of Rotary throughout the community. Today, it is my honor to formally welcome a new member. You have been elected to membership in this club because we believe you to be a worthy representative of your calling and to possess qualities that will permit you to exemplify in your public, business, social, and private life the true spirit of Rotary. You have been admitted not only to the Rotary Club of Louisville, but to a worldwide organization of over 46,000 clubs. By virtue of your membership in this club, you will be welcomed into the fellowship of any Rotary Club in the world. Rotary membership adds value to those who engage, whether by attending meetings and events, participating in service projects, or sharing your knowledge and talents as we carry out the principles of Rotary into the community. So before you today, you have Jacob McGill. Jacob is a senior business advisor at Byrne Insurance Group. He is a lifelong Louisvillian and proud graduate of the University of Louisville with a BA in English and a Master of Arts in Teaching. After a 15-year career teaching English within the Archdiocese of Louisville, primarily at Sacred Heart Academy, he switched directions to become an insurance advisor with a focus on life and health insurance. In 2022, Jacob earned the REBC designation, which is the highest designation offered by the National Association of Benefits and Insurance Professionals. Jacob, I now induct you as a member of the Louisville Club. It's a very nice welcome to the club. Thank you all. So it's now my honor to recognize a new Paul Harris Fellow achievement. Paul Harris Fellow recognition is given in appreciation to any Rotarian who contributes $1,000 or more either to the annual fund or the Polio Plus Fund of the Rotary Foundation. And I have had some questions about this, so I would just clarify, it does not have to be a $1,000 all-in-one swoop gift. You can do $100, per quarter or per year until you reach that $1,000 and become recognized as a Paul Harris Fellow. So I didn't want you to think of that as a barrier if you also are interested in becoming a fellow. I would like the members who are here today who are Paul Harris Fellows to please stand just briefly so that we can recognize the investment that you have made in Rotary and in this club. So thank you very much. I'm going to ask Harold Kersey to come to the front of the room. I would say still stand, but I want you to come to the front of the room because I have a special pin for you. In appreciation for the many ways in which you exemplify Rotary's motto of service above self, and on behalf of the trustees of the Rotary Foundation, it is my honor and pleasure today to recognize you as a member who has achieved a new PHF level. Cheryl is president of Kersey & Kersey Architects, the 2016-17 Rotarian of the Year, and now a Paul Harris Fellow ×2. All right, now it's time for our speaker, who is a wonderful person. So happy to have you as speaker today. Dave Christoper Sr. is president of AMPED, which he founded in 2014 to provide a safe and productive environment for youth to express themselves creatively using music and technology. In 2017, in order to provide underserved and underrepresented youth and adults in the West Louisville area with living wage jobs in technology, AMPED launched their Technology Workforce Development Program, focused primarily on Black and brown youth and adults. Dave is also the founder, as if he did, enough things going on, of Techni Solutions and Level 7 Recording Studios. Dave graduated from the University of Louisville with a bachelor's degree in Criminal Justice Administration. He also received 3 nonprofit leadership certifications from Harvard University's Kennedy School of Politics and another from Spalding University Leadership Development Institute. In April of 2020, in the midst of a pandemic and worldwide racial unrest, Dave founded the Russell Technology Business Incubator, a groundbreaking business incubator focused on supporting Black and Latinx businesses in Louisville's West End. During his career, Dave received the following recognition, and this is probably a short list. Most Admired CEO, Healthcare Equity Innovation Award, Metro United Way Changing the Narrative Award, KET American Graduate Hero, LCCC Light the Way Award, Kentucky Blacks in Media, Metro United Way Black Male Achievement Innovation, Mary Sullivan Community Service Award, Black Male Excellence Leadership, Fellowship, Alden Fellowship, and Humana Foundation Fellowship. So Dave also served in the U.S. Air Force from 1981 to 1992. He's a proud member of Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity, and most importantly, is a proud father and child of God. Welcome, Dave.
Has anybody else ever had to sit through that? Like, when people read off your stuff, you're like, ah. So, if anybody knows me, I can go long. So I actually have a timer, just because I have, how many minutes?
25.
Oh, 25? Oh, good.
Well,
I counted 20. So I'm going to set my timer, and if somebody give me the hook if I go long, because me and my chief of staff actually don't mind what I'm going to say. A lot of it's kind of sort of repeated what. So first of all, let me start with this. Let me start the time. So let me start with this. As the president of a nonprofit, my biggest responsibilities are my fiscal responsibility and my responsibility to make sure that the vision and mission of AMP is clear and that it's executed efficiently. With that said, if you hear hints of solicitation, please know that I'm only doing my job. As I said, I'm Dave Christoper, Sr., President and founder of AMP, which now stands for Adventurous Minds Produce Extraordinary Dreams. AMP was originally founded in May 2014 as a music program for youth ages 11 to 18. Because of a demand and listening to, as we always do, to people we serve, the age range is now 8 to 18. About a year into the music program, which was having great success, it felt like for every two or three steps we were taking forward, we were also taking one step back. The students in our program are improving in their grades, and there were reduced incidents of behavior issues in school, and parents were reporting that their kids were even behaving better at home. We held our students accountable for their behavior and performance at home, at school, and when they came to AMPED for their music lessons. Our partnership with JCPS gave us access to with parents' permission to their grades, attendance, and behavior. Something was missing, and it didn't take long to figure it out. These kids had parents that were in need of support. The kids we were spending only 3 to 5 hours a day with were going back in their homes where their parents were struggling with low-wage jobs, and in some cases, no jobs at all. Having to work long hours, late night, with very little pay, or couldn't find jobs in their community, forcing them to go far away from home for work. My background is in technology, and as everyone knows, jobs in technology start at a living wage. I was self-taught in technology. I worked in IT, UPS, before leaving to start my own technology company. I did not have a college degree. I did eventually get a degree when I was 40 years old. I wrongly assumed that if I trained the parents of the students that only had high school diplomas and some only GEDs, that I could get them jobs in IT. I was very wrong. I was being told by employers that jobs required a 4-year college degree and 4 to 6 years experience. At this point, I had closed my tech company to run AMP full-time. I'm a solution person. I acknowledge the problem, but I don't focus on the problem. I focus on the solution. My solution in this case was to start another tech company called AMPTech and hire the people that we train, and then to seek out IT contracts with those same companies. What those companies soon realized was that these people were the same people that they had turned down. Many great companies here in Louisville stepped up and supported what we were trying to do, which was move families from poverty to at least middle class. With the help of those companies that are far too many to mention, along with Louisville Metro, and AMP has a technology training program that pays students $500 a week to go to class for 40 hours a week. The students are working to get their industry-recognized certifications in Microsoft MS 900 and their CompTIA A+ certifications Part 1 and Part 2. Our partner companies are right there with us, waiting to offer living wage jobs in IT that are literally change the lives of the families in our community. For those of you who know me well, also know that I won't stop until the job is completely done. My father, Reverend Jasper Christoper, had a saying, when a job is once begun, do not leave it until it's done. Be that job great or small, do it well or not at all. I recognize that when people have disposable income due to their thriving wage jobs, they needed somewhere to spend it. I realized that 1 or 2 things would happen, and that was that these families would spend their money outside of their community, or that they would leave their community completely, because there was nowhere to spend their dollars. In April of 2020, I came up with the bright idea of opening a year-long incubator for minority business with all the support they needed to be successful in business. We provide accounting, legal, business coaching, marketing, and branding, even mental health therapy provided by Creative Spirits, Dr. Calvin Gray. Everything the founder needed to be successful. Y'all can see I don't really read speeches. I'm trying to stay within time. Because otherwise we'd be here for a while. As we added programming and made more investments in people, I know we needed further investment in place as well. We needed to be a part of changing the built environment as well, changing the way community looked. And so we bought a historic building on West Broadway. The city's first Black-owned car dealership is now owned by AMP. Our tenants include the University of Louisville and JCPS. After school every day, JCPS brings students to our building every day to provide tutoring, training, and career preparation services. And we bought another property, which was once the Hub store on West Market Street, that will now be the Amp Russell Station Tech and Learning Center. Our technology program has grown to the point that we need access to dedicated year-round space where our students can train. And that needs to happen in a building that can also house early learning and wraparound services. So the building, as well as providing the free training, will actually have somewhere for the people that go through that training to bring their kids. We'll have other partners in the building. We have space for other partners to provide wraparound services. So when you walk into that building, the hope is that you walk out whole and there's no barriers, so all the barriers are removed in that building at 17th and Market. Our technology program has grown to the, We broke ground on this project in May, and construction will be complete fall of 2025. That's our hope. So if you get a chance, drive by 17th and Market. And we actually bought that almost that whole block, about 1701 to 1725, because another thing that we're looking at doing is actually building storefronts and putting businesses in those storefronts for a year at no cost to them to help them build up their businesses. Because the whole idea is to build this work, live, play area in West Louisville, similar to what you see on the East End. Let's see. And so this is what AMP does. Please visit our website at amplouisville.org to learn more about our work. So now, let me tell you about why we do this work and why it matters so much and how it works into our whole. Yesterday, I returned from Baltimore, Maryland. My partner, Keidra, and I decided to take a 5:15 flight to Baltimore Sunday morning, the day after our Dreammaker left there, woke up the next morning and flew. The morning, Saturday morning, celebrating our 10 amazing young people who recently graduated from high school that participated over the years in the AMP Music Academy, some of which had been in our program since middle school. I went to visit a friend and fraternity brother whom I met many years ago when he had a job here at Vulcan Food Equipment Group that transferred him here to Louisville. He's eventually transferred back to Baltimore and has since retired. On the second day, we all went to the mall to get his phone repaired that had been damaged on a recent vacation to Cancun. While we were there waiting at the kiosk to get the phone repaired, a group of 8 black teenage boys walked by us, and they were on 10. And for those of you that know what that means they were very excited and upbeat. One of the boys seemed to be celebrating one of the other boys for whatever had just happened. His words were, "You did that, you did that," and he repeated it several times. Not far behind them was another group of teenage boys that were equally energetic, and my immediate thought was that these two groups were about to fight. I was wrong, because the two groups walked on and were eventually out of sight. And then along came a single teenage boy walking very fast toward us. As he got closer, two things were sadly very clear. This teenage boy was very upset and that he had been beaten very badly. He had bruises and knots all over his face. His arms and his chest had scrapes and scratches where he had been knocked to the ground. In all of this, the most frightening thing was this young man was carrying a very large knife, which we didn't initially see because he had it concealed in the book bag. He pulled it out once he got to where he could see the teenage boys that had assaulted him. My partner and I looked on, not in fear, but in sadness and concern. My partner and I looked on, not in fear, but in sadness and concern. All the teenage boys that were involved. What others may have seen as a bunch of wild and out of control boys out on the streets wreaking havoc. Teenage boys that didn't care about anything or anybody. What I saw was broken systems. And about 15 missed opportunities. In that there were around 15 boys involved. Please don't get me confused about where I stand on accountability and their responsibility to themselves and their obligation and need to do better and to be better. Let's also be clear that likely more than half of those boys were just blind followers. Somewhere the opportunity to intervene was missed. Somewhere the opportunity for those boys to see something different that was better for them to mimic was missed. My mind went to a parent that wished that they were in a position to give their child better options. A community activist like myself who wished that those boys would walk through their doors. A community that wished that these boys had a safe and productive program to walk through the doors of. I myself was that misguided youth who was drinking and getting high at age 13 years old. I come from a two-parent household. I'm the son and grandson of a Baptist preacher. But because my mother spent a lot of time in bed and unable to work due to Parkinson's, that went undiagnosed until it was too late. And a father who was forced to pick up odd jobs after losing his job because of a back injury. I was out in the streets while my father was working into the night just to be able to feed us. I grew up in Gary, Indiana, and other than the Boys and Girls Club, there was nowhere to go. I grew up in the project where there were no living wage jobs. The closest I had to an entrepreneur was my father, and I didn't realize that until I was an adult. Some years before he died, he said to me, "If no one will hire you, then hire yourself." I've since based my life on those very words. I'm telling you this because even though we are not yet where we need to be, I sincerely believe that we are most certainly not where we were. George Washington Carver said, "Where there is no vision, there is no hope." Let's talk about where we are, or where we were, and where we are now. In 1969, black people made up 13.3% of Jefferson County population, but owned 4.6% of the county's businesses. In 2021, black residents accounted for 23.4% of Louisville's population, but only 2.4% of the businesses with employees in Louisville were black owned. Let that resonate. The black share of population doubled, and yet we had only half as many businesses as we used to. This mark placed the city's last out of 16 peer cities according to Greater Louisville Inc. A significant driver behind the business ownership gap is the racial wealth gap. As we all know, it takes money to start and maintain a business. And the black population in Louisville has less and less wealth than any other segment of our population. Black individuals make less in every single job category in Louisville than their white counterparts. The median white family has $188,200, while the median black family has $24,100. Less than 15% of what white families hold. Homeownership factors in both wealth and ability to start a business. Oftentimes you need that home as collateral to secure a business loan. But only 1/3 of black residents own a home, even though more than 70% of white families do the same. In spite of these realities, I have reason for hope. Because although this is where we are, this is not totally where we are today. And when I see the investments being made in the West End in particular, I believe tomorrow will look much different. The Republic Bank Foundation, YMC at 1720 West Broadway, Louisville, Kentucky, opened its doors to members in December 2019, a $33.5 million, 77,000 square foot facility aimed to improve community health and wellness. Louisville Waterfront Park is expanding into the city's Portland neighborhood in West Louisville. The $50 million project, which has been in the works 10 years, first phase expected to complete late this year. This expansion will add 22 acres of green space along the Ohio River. The Norton Healthcare Sports and Learning Center, Beecher Terrace revitalization, which includes the Baxter Community Center renovation, Goodwill Opportunity Campus, Norton West Louisville Hospital, which is set to open in November. And of course, a plug of our own, Anthony Russell Station Tech and Learning Center. 2 new very important parks. Stellar Snacks recently built a manufacturing facility in West Louisville, bringing 350 jobs for residents. JCPS built a new elementary school and is building a new middle school, and there's more. There are homes being built by Rebound and LDG, new senior housing underway led by HPI. These are real investments that are producing real impacts for the residents of West End. They aren't empty promises. They're intentional, complementary investments designed to support the people and the places that for so long have been left out. Let's remember that by definition, redlining and systematic racism were not isolated experiences. They were purposeful politics. They were methodically written, intended to exclude, and repeatedly enacted. We are now applying that same level of intentionality to the process of reversing redlining. We're rebuilding neighborhoods, working to give the West End in particular the same opportunities that other neighborhoods already take for granted. Access to good schools, to good homes, to parks, to healthcare services, to banks, training facilities and jobs, to amenities that make people visit their neighborhood, which in turn creates more opportunities for entrepreneurs to open businesses that serve residents and visitors alike. What is underway in the West End is the full package. We are pulling all the levers simultaneously. We're creating the conditions for success, and success is coming, and it will come. While I saw hopeless young people in Baltimore, I know hopeless young people in Louisville. I know hopeless young people in Louisville. But here in Louisville, our families and our young people are beginning to see something different. They're seeing investments. They're seeing money coming in that tells them they are worthy of investment. Our investments are showing them that they matter. This is where we need to be. Every child in every neighborhood, every day, knowing with certainty that they matter and that they have options, that they can dare to hope. The work underway in Louisville is hard, but the seeds we are planting will bear fruit. Already saplings have sprouted up. Change is happening. As long as we have the courage and fortitude to keep our foot on the gas, our future will be different than our past. Thank you.
I'm going to open up the floor for Rotarians to ask you questions. So this is just for Rotarians. This will be the microphone that you use if you want to start lining up behind me. If you have any questions for Dave today, I would like to start with one of my own questions, which is, could you give the Rotarians in the room today an example or an idea of what it's like for a typical person who engages with one of your programs, how they come in, what their day is like, what they experience, what they get out of it, and then as they graduate, what happens then?
Yeah, the beautiful thing about the program that we created, and for those of you in nonprofit, we hear this term called mission drift, right? Where it's like, okay, you came in, you're teaching music, you're teaching these kids music, why are you doing anything other than teaching these kids music? Well, I never believed in that because what my thinking was that you have to do what's necessary to get completion. Right, and the whole idea of like just working with these kids and just repeating the cycle. You see that a lot of times where people have programs that people just circle through that program and they never come out on the other side whole. And so the music program was what helped us to connect with the parents, because the parents would bring, we call them drive-by parents, and it wasn't intentional. It was like they looked at us just like another program. The same way that you drop your kid off, gives you some time to go do some stuff, you come back, you pick your kid up, whatever. What parents were seeing was actually kids changing. And literally coming into the building going, what are you guys doing in here? Like my kid is now like getting up and ironing their clothes for school and they're doing their homework and the things are changing. And so we saw the opportunity to work with those parents. And so that the kids drew, like anybody knows in business, the kids really run the market. The kids brought the parents in. Then we had an opportunity to serve those parents. But we had to get those parents to completion. And it wasn't about just getting those parents the training. We also had to make sure that they had the job. So when they spent that time, that's why we need $500 a week for them to go through that training, because we want them to understand that there's dignity in what they're doing. That this is your job for like 12 weeks. And that puts them through it. And then we realized, okay, now that parent may want to start a business. Because we're talking about generational wealth. That's what it's all about. Well, all these things I talked about in terms of how to purchase a home and how to get better. If those of you who are successful, and myself included, that have done this, understand that if you don't have anything to start with, you can't really go anywhere. And you got to have something to start with and a means to start with. And that's sort of the charge that I wanted to make here, was that all of us together can just provide those opportunities. And I tell people all day, my words are not magic, right? Me saying stuff is just me saying stuff. You have to put hands and feet to work. And so when you're looking for somebody to hire, you're looking for a business to bring on and give a contract to, whatever you can do, you should do that. So I think I answered the question.
I think you did. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Dr. Jacqueline Jones. I'm the owner of Vita Shop Beverage Bar and Frosty's Frozen Treats down at the waterfront. First, I want to tell you I'm proud of you. Not that you need my proud of you, though, but you pushed through that speech, and that was very emotional, so I think you deserve another round of applause. My question for you today, while you have the mic and they have the podium, is what specifically can Rotary Club do to help AMPED go to another level?
So I'll answer that question by saying yes, AMPED, but also other organizations, other folks, right? Because we have to do this collectively. I mean, as much as I am, and my director of development right there, so she may not like me saying this, but it is, we want to help AMP move forward, but there are so many other organizations because we can't do this by ourselves. And so what I would ask is, and this is sort of the thing, if you're familiar with the term implicit bias. A lot of implicit bias means that you are reacting in a way that you don't even realize you're acting based on things that you saw on television, that you heard or whatever, right? And so I'll just use this example. You go to hire a black woman, right? And she's interviewing for the job. And because you've been led to believe that black women are aggressive, right? then you don't hire this person, even though they have the skills and the quality and everything that they need, because implicitly you've been biased against them. Or like I've experienced in my career, a woman said to me that she was surprised by my business acumen. And she thought she was giving me a compliment. She really did. She thought she was saying something kind to me, like, oh, you're different, right? And so when you look at like how the businesses, because this is what this is, right? You have businesses, when you're working with people and you're considering people for different opportunities and things like that, that's what you can actually do is try to check yourself. If you don't hire somebody, if you shouldn't hire them if they don't qualify for the job or they don't qualify the contract or whatever, and maybe if they don't qualify the contract in their business, try to figure out a way to help them to understand what needs to be done. Because a lot of times people don't know what they don't know. They had, like I told you, I was self-taught in technology. I didn't go to school for that. Eventually I ended up getting certifications and all that. I didn't have a college degree till I was 40 years old because my mother went to fifth grade, my father went to third grade. I had two sisters who dropped out of school, both, well, one has passed away, but both, we call it functionally illiterate, right? Functionally illiterate. And then two brothers who went to prison, the whole thing. So there was never that conversation in my house about college or any of those things. And many of the people we serve, not maybe have that exact same situation, but they have situations like that. And so you don't know what you don't know. So I would ask that you think about how you're making decisions and what you actually physically can do to move all of us forward. And if you want AMP specifically, because I have my development director in front of me, www.amplouisville.org, hit the donation tab.
So the original bio that I just pulled off on a Google search before you sent me the bio that Lori read today said that in school you were a strong student who was also prone to getting into trouble, had a chip on his shoulder, and experienced racism regularly. One brother was shot in the back during gang violence at age 17 and paralyzed from the waist down. Another brother went to prison accused of murder. When a high school counselor implored you to enlist in the military, warning that you would end up dead or jailed otherwise, you joined the Air Force, stayed 11 and a half years, including stints in Korea, Japan, and Germany. So I'm interested in, do you agree, do you think that she was right, that the military saved you, so to speak? And second of all, like, how did the experience of being in the military and in these different countries impact your perspective on the world and life and ultimately Louisville?
Well, first I'll say God saved me. She didn't. She was wrong. She was completely wrong because God had a plan. That's period, flat, blank, period. Because I tell people, I say this jokingly but not jokingly, I did everything I could to destroy my life. I did. I mean, everything that you could think of that went wrong, I did it. I got locked up. I had DUI. I'm a recovering alcoholic, 22 years clean and sober. I sold drugs. I had foreclosure, repossession, bankruptcy, payday loan. If somebody messed it up, I promise you I messed it up. So that lady was wrong. But we're not talking about the implicit bias. What she based that statement on was that my family was known for selling drugs. There was a lot of my family was like, that's the things they were mixed up in. And I lived in the projects. And they never saw my parents because my parents were not able to go to school. So usually if an adult was coming to school for me, it was one of my sisters. And so based on what she thought she knew, that's what she came up with. So she was wrong, because here I am. And the military did give me discipline, but I got in trouble in the military. Basic training, I got into a fight with the training instructor. Went to my next tech school, got in trouble again. I mean, when I was in the military is when I got my DUI. So, I mean, for as much structure as you get in the military, and I think that's a good thing to do if you don't know what else to do. And I do credit them for that was my time. I do credit them with, I guess, and again, I go back to the God thing because I had a first sergeant that actually was written paperwork to get me kicked out of the military. And what happened when I walked into the office to go see him after I just gotten out of lockup, the person at the front desk said, Dave, ask him, can you see your folder? And I said, what are you talking about? She said, they have a folder on you. Ask him, you see the folder, and ask him, can you see the entire folder? So I went in there and I asked for the folder, and before he handed me the folder, he pulled papers out of it and handed me the folder. And I said, well, no, I need all the papers. And he put the papers back in. There was actually a letter written to give me an Article 15 discharge. And so I stopped clowning long enough for that to not to happen. Because if I'd have done one more thing, I'd have got kicked out. So.
All right, Barbara Sexton Smith. Dave, I love you, man. I'm just saying, you've come a long way since I've run into you out here in these streets in that broken down white van that I didn't know if you'd make it to the next stop. And you were just checking on another kid. So my question is, would you talk just a little bit about some of your partnerships? I think that'll help all of us Rotarians understand your partnerships, and I'll let you define that, either your investment partners, and then put some numbers around some of this, because I think that's really important.
Okay.
Thank you.
So founded the organization in 2014 with an annual budget of $24,000 the first year. And it was self-funded because I didn't know about nonprofit. I told you I stumbled into nonprofit. Didn't know what a 501c1, C3 was or anything. And the second year was about maybe $48,000. We are currently at what, 4.3? $4.2 million. We have a $4.2 million budget. We have properties and all this stuff. And so part of why that's important is because I tell people that the nonprofit is a business. Nonprofit is a tax status. And we're a business. And when I figured out how to run the organization as a business, that's when we started to grow. And so what Barbara's talking about in terms of investors, that's what we actually refer to our funders as investors, because we're going to take what you give us and we're going to turn it into something. Because the idea is that we not always have our hand out. I think the misunderstanding about nonprofit is that you always have to have your hand out and you always have to be begging. And I think even funders, they're starting to think differently, because when I first got into it, it was like the funder was here and the nonprofit was here. But yet we're supposed to be partners, right? And that's not how that works. If I have a problem that I say I can fix, and you say you want to help fix that problem, then we should be here. That's right. Right? We should be walking in the room with equal conversation and equal investment, because I'm going to deliver on my promise. If you give me that investment. So we're looking like Humana, Brown-Forman, Young Brands, Gaines Foundation, James Graham Brown Foundation, Rockefeller Foundation, Young Brands, LG&E, US Bank, Chase Bank. And I didn't want to name them because there's so many. Fund for the Arts, Fifth Third Bank. There's so many, right? Because understand is that we don't do this by ourselves. I never, matter of fact, I had a friend that came to me one time and said, somebody said you don't know how to take a compliment. And I go, what do you mean? I said, was I like mean or something? And he said, no. Every time we try to compliment me on the work that we were doing, I would always go, oh, well, I'm surrounded by great people, and and I would always deflect. And the reason for that is that I want to make sure that first of all, that I always make sure that God gets the honor for all of it, right? But then also the amazing people that I work with, you have to understand that it's not the Dave Christoper show, right? It can't be. Because at some point the bus is gonna hit me and I won't be here, or I'll go to some island somewhere, right? And I won't be around. And so, I mean, and I'll tell you why I think that works, right? Why we get so much support from the folks that we serve, that have funded us, is I literally walk into the room, and me and Erica, we talked about this. I walk into the room not trying to figure out what I can get, but more figuring out who you are. Because I want to know who I'm working with. Yeah. Because those are relationships that last. Rockefeller, we have a relationship with Rockefeller Foundation. They've given us close to $1 million over time. And part of that money came after they had shifted to another pillar. And when they first gave us money, they were working with black business development. And then they shifted to climate. And we had asked for another $400,000 for them. And they were like, hey, we shifted our focus, right, to climate. The project manager that we had from Rockefeller still took it to her vice president and fought for us. And the vice president finally broke down and said, just give it to them. And let them do whatever they want to with it, right? So it wasn't even restricted money. And so those partners, the partners that we have, I don't believe in transactional relationships because I don't think they last. I don't want to be a number on your list. I want to be somebody you know. I want to know when I was kind of updating. Can you stand there, Erica? I'm sorry. She's our director of development. Yeah. So just get to know her, please. When she calls, answer the phone or reply to the email. But we talk about like how, like when I was telling her about the people that we work with, I felt like she was somewhat amazed at how much I knew about those folks. Like when we talked about Chase Bank, right, Courtney Filato, and I said, well, she's got 2 boys and she just recently had a knee surgery and she's going through some stuff with that. And because those are the conversations we have. We don't always sit and talk about the project or the money or whatever. We're talking about each other, trying to find out, what's going on with that person. So, again, I ramble, so I don't know if I answered the question or not. I just said a lot of stuff. So, they're good? Okay, all right.
You did great. Actually, that one's fine. Yeah, I think you got it over there. Thank you so much. Let's give him one more round of applause for being here. And so, Dave, we're thanking you and Erica for being here and also for everything you're doing to help knit our community even tighter together, which we all know is needed right now. Okay, so next week, our meeting is on Thursday, August 8th. It will be located here. Our speaker is Dr. Paula Grisanti. She is the CEO of the National Stem Cell Foundation, and her topic is meant to intrigue us, I think, because it is space research, STEM education, and co-pays. So I'm interested to see how those things all relate to each other. Please RSVP by noon, Monday, August 5th, or of course you can always use our trusty QR code here on the screen if you want to lock it in right now. And one more time of reminding the guests, just a few minutes over here at the What is Rotary table with Rick Arnett before you leave would be appreciated. We are adjourned.